Okay, so this video I'm going to be doing is just a continuation of the previous one that I put out, where I was showing the Flux dev in Kaggle. And of course, the main aim of showing Flux dev in Kaggle is to show how you can create your AI images even with a without having to go to some rate limited API website where you do your image and you're just in the middle of trying to get the next one out, and then suddenly the API says you need to pay them some money or your image is gone. So I've got this this workbook in Kaggle, and so I'm just going to go into it. So this one I've got here, which is the first edition, it's not. I mean, it works, but the end part doesn't actually work properly. So I have a version that actually works. What I want to do is, in the previous video I went through it and couldn't get the output to work, so now I'm going to actually show you with the image output actually working. So let me go into it. Just make it bigger, not too big. Yeah, I mean, that's alright, isn't it? You should be able to still see that on a phone, shouldn't you? Let's just check. That's a bit big, but yeah, right, let's go with that, since the screen is quite big anyway. Right, so first I want to get things running. So now what I do is just start with the first cell, and when I run it, it's going to take a little bit of time to set up the what do you call it, the container. So just wait for it. So it's starting the session. So so it's got the container. Now we just got to wait for Jupyter to set up whatever it's doing. Okay, so it's up, and the main thing is that alright, so it's burned some CPU, so that whenever you do one of the sections here, I can't remember what you call them again. If you put your mouse over it'll tell you when it was executed, and so it says 1028. So I know that this has been run recently, because if it only gives you a time, that means it's today. And so I'm just going to get through this quick. And so you can see on the right, I've got my output is only 68K. So that is essentially the files that are going to be generated are going to end up over here. So I'm going to run the next one, and run that. And also, whenever you run each one, the way to know whether it's run is check at the top here where it's got the run current cell, and you'll see this will change briefly, and even if your cell has got hardly anything in it, this will still there's enough of a delay so that you can see when it runs. Yeah, see, it says cancel run. So once that shows up, you know it's run. But this one takes a little bit of time. Alright, so that's finished. But this one will show you what I mean. See, it's just ls, which is very quick, but you still have enough time to see when this run all changes. So if I click that, yeah, see, cancel run. See, so you know it ran because it only lasted a few seconds, but this is essentially the shortest time that a cell can last. So even with one command, it's still going to be like about 2 seconds. Right, so now this next line, I've put these in here, and I might actually comment them out, because you only need these two when you first run this notebook, if you make a copy of it. But once you run the notebook once, it seems to keep the torch version, in it, even when you lose your session. Because the thing about it, here it says draft session. If I click on this stop session button, any files that have been put into the session, i.e. like here where it's got the Totoro, which is the Comfy UI, that all disappears. So if I generate any images and click on this button here, stop session, then the images will just disappear and they're gone. So I'm going to skip these two because I don't need them because I've run them before, but this one I'll need. So I'm just going to download a few things and just wait for that to go through. And unlike these two, which once you run them once, they stay with your notebook. This one, even though it's installing these, so these pip ones, they stay with your notebook, but these pip ones, they stay with the session, so they will actually disappear once the session is ended. Alright, so that's finished. So we go to the next one. Okay, so now we're going to download the actual models. And so these are the ones I've chosen so far. And then actually, let me just I'll change the view to word wrap. You can see the whole command without me going across. So these are the ones I'm using. Or these are the models which were with the original notebook. And then these ones are if you want to choose a 4x upscaler, or these two are x2. But if you want to choose an x upscaler for the next section, then just on-comment one of these for it to download. Okay, and here's another thing I've noticed. It could be my browser version, but you see, once so let me click on here. Okay, it's still normal. So I'm going to download these models. So as you can see, it's running, and the output always comes out below the cell. So here, and you see these little black marks, they show you the top one is for the cell and the bottom one is for the output. So if you want to know where the output is being printed and you're a bit confused, look for these little black lines at the side, and they will, will indicate where you are at. And also, something which should be obvious with this Jupyter notebook is that you can only run one cell at a time. But I'm going to show you something later on, where you can, which will help you in that regard. So the big one's downloaded, and you notice the reason for using the Araya 2 is because it was downloading at 321 megabytes per second, and you want that kind of speed because it is an 11 gig model. And you notice that even though it's 11 gigs, it hasn't used up any of my output quota because it's going in temp. So like I say, anything which is in temp is definitely going to disappear if I click on this stop session. And there is an option you can use so that these output files are saved, but I haven't turned that on at the moment because it's just easier when they all disappear so that you don't get any kind of files mixing with each other later on. So it's just more, even though it takes longer to start everything, it's just more convenient. So that's finished because you can see the run all is there. And so we can come to this one where you just check the version of the sort of the video card. And when you get this output, you know that you've chosen the right session. But it says GPU over here anyway, so you know you've turned it on. And so I'm going to do this next one. What this is going to do, doesn't seem like much is going on here, but this actually loads the models into the GPU. So I just want to show you something. So if we go to the session metrics, you notice it says here I'm using 1.2 gigs of memory, and the 18 gigs of disk space is the models I downloaded. And notice the GPU memory is 0. So now if I go to this one and run it, so this is where we actually do that. Or the GPU, right? Yeah, see now the GPU stuff is starting. And this is the one which actually loads the models in. And you won't get any output because this is just it's pushing into the GPU. It's 11 gigs, so it's loaded the whole model into the GPU. And some of it goes into the main memory as well. And so that's why. And you can see what it's loading. I'm loading this 4x ultra sharp .pth because this is the one I downloaded. So if you want to download a different Upscaler model, then you should actually change this name here so it matches the one you download. I mean, you can download more than one model if you want to. It'll take up a little. Well, they're quite small actually, and so you could even really download all the models and change. Well, upscale. Yeah, I mean, you could, because this is in Torch inference mode. You could load a different model into the GPU, but then you have to make sure to remove this model as well. Admittedly, I don't know how you remove the models from the GPU, but you know, that's down to sort of any programmers out there to work out how to do that. Alright, so that's finished. So the GPU is nicely loaded up with our models. And so now the first one is to try to generate an image. So now, what should I do? I mean, this is one that I was testing. Okay, we could go with this one. And so, let me just make sure I missed it. Yeah, so that's it. So now, let me generate this one. So this one is 36 steps, and it's like a frozen landscape. And it is a bit crazy. And you'll notice that I think I've upscaled it twice actually. Upscale these. Yeah, the thing is, see, when I upscale it twice, it doesn't. Alright, let's just go with this. And what I'll do is, I'll just upscale it once. So we want upscaled. This is our output image. And then what I'm going to do is, it will display the image as well. Because the reason why I commented this out is because if you upscale it twice and then try to output it, it's too big for the notebook. So let's go with this one first. And so guidance is 2.5, so that's to give decent quality. We've got steps of 36, so it's going to take a little bit of time. About 8, 6, 7 minutes, I think. Alright, so let's get rid of this. And so I'm going to run this and let's see what we get from it. And if there's an error in the Python, usually it'll come up straight away. But you see here the CPU is at 100, so this is the initial processing, which is on CPU. And so what we're waiting for is for it to actually send the data over to the GPU for processing. Alright, so alright, so yeah, so now it's loaded it. It's put the data in, and now it's running. So once you see the CPU and the GPU are red, that means you've made it. And here we have the progress, saying that it's going to take about 4 minutes. That's not too bad. So it's for 36 steps. And when it's going to save the image as flux2.png, and also it's going to display it as well. And this is so it's going to be upscaled once with that 4x, and then we'll have a look to see what it looks like. Okay, so this one's almost finished, and what will happen is, even though it gets to the end, it still has to do the last one. So the GPU's finished, but then alright, it's just doing its last bit, and so now it's doing the actual upscale part. And what the interesting thing is that the upscale is actually done in CPU. So even though you spend all that big money on an NVIDIA GPU, it still doesn't do certain functions. Right, so here it is. Yeah, actually looks not too bad actually. And so the reason why I did this video as 4K is just so let's see if I move this across. Yes, it's a lot bigger now, isn't it? So you can see what it looks like. And if you're watching the video in 4K, you can see some of the quality. Now, of course, when you look at it, you can see I call them the AI drawing lines, because AI has this way of producing, it's these like sketch lines it uses to draw things. And you can kind of see the sketch lines if you look closely. You can see how they, the way that they are over. And I think there is some way of getting rid of that, but I haven't really checked that out yet. But the lens flare looks alright now. So if you want, if you want an image like this as a background, and the thing about it is this resolution, this is bigger than 4K. So you could have, but the important thing is this is done on Kaggle. And so, yeah, it's just, see, Kaggle, the thing is, Kaggle is a free account. There's no option to have a pro Kaggle. So if something works on Kaggle, then it's free. That's it, the end of story. So, right, so that's that one done. So now, I've noticed I try keeping these futuristic cities, but they don't come out very well because I think I need, the normal upscaler doesn't really do a good job on these. So I'm going to do some testing with the latent upscale, which might do a better job with them. So I'm going to skip the sci-fi ones. Alright, so now the next thing I need to do is I need to activate this time one, because it's used in the later ones. It's quick cancel run, so we know that worked. So now, for the ones after here, this is actually a function which is defined, and the function takes in these parameters, and so I have to actually run this just so the function gets defined. Alright, so that's done. So that function is defined. So now I can actually try some of these other ones. Alright, so let's go for this glittering golf course. Sometimes this one comes out okay. Alright, so the glittering golf course. So let's go for this 35 steps. And let me just check. I want to make sure. Yeah, I've only got one upscale. So if I do this 35, I can actually show the image. Although, oh no, I just realized, it'll only let me show one. See, that image is 19. If I do another 19, it's going to go over 30, which will take me over the 30 something megabytes. So the only way I can do it, so I need to get rid of this, but I'm not sure if it lets me do that though. I need to clear the cell somehow. Let's see. No, okay, let's try copy out to clipboard and see if it lets me let me see if it lets me paste it into something. Okay, looks like it didn't copy. Let's try that. Copy output to clipboard. Oh, I think it's the text output. So let's see, hide cell change. So I just want to remove this image. Oh, let's clear cell output. Alright, yes, that's gone. So we run this one, because I can only put one image in it at a time. So this is, alright, so let's display this image now. So I'm sorry showing you this just so you can, to show you the bits that you can edit. So if you run this, And the main thing to make sure that it's actually working is once you see the GPU running hot, then that's when it's going and you can leave it. And of course you get the output down here. And also this random seed number, if you like the image and you want to reproduce it with more steps, what you do is make a note of this number, and then this number will produce the exact same image that it gives you this time. If you run it again with this exact same number. But if you don't like the image, then just ignore this number. Okay, so that's running. So let's see. Let's wait for this. Let's wait for this golf course and see what it looks like. Okay, so I was just away for a little bit, so obviously it finished while I was doing something. So as you see here, yeah, I mean, it looks alright. Obviously you could complain about it, some things, but it's not bad. I mean, that grass actually looks kind of nice. And let's have a look at it in the good old 4K. Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, you see the grass. See, some things, the AI actually draws quite nice. And you don't see the AI lines, yeah, you can still see them. But, yeah, I mean, it's alright. So if you could think of, if you want to add something like flowers in the borders and things like that, then yeah, you could have made it look nicer. But as you can see, you can get some decent results from this free Kaggle. And so let's just move. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do too many more, but this is one that I like. Is what I found is if the guidance is too low, you get better quality, but then, alright, let's make guidance 3.2, because I want it, sometimes it gets too blurred if you, alright, so let's do this stunning landscape. I'm probably going to do this as the last one, because the pirate ship one is a bit annoying, because I can't get that one to work very well. But like I said, I'm going to save this notebook as version 2, and you can just try it yourself. So let me just do this as the last one, as the Explorer. Yes, that's loaded. So now just run it. And so I'm not going to bother displaying this one because it's, what I'll do is I'll just show you, well, yeah, I might do. Alright, let's clear this. Wrong cell. So we did this one, didn't we? So yeah, 1104. So this is the last one I'm going to bother to do today. And then I'm just going to show you how to download the images in this working version. Yeah, we'll display the image as well. And the thing about guidance, I've found that I still need to do some testing with this, but if your guidance is too low, then it doesn't follow the prompt very well. And with what's it called, Stable Diffusion XL, if you use a guidance up to about 7, you're okay. But if you use a guidance that high with Flux Dev, then you don't, the quality can get quite bad. So I've found that I don't think, obviously the ideal guidance is 3.5, but I think you could sort of get away with 4, but anything where you go into like 5 and 6, you'll find that the image won't look like how you expect it to, and some parts of it will start to, like, you get distortions on it. So with Flux Dev, your guidance, you have to stay within like a reasonable range, close to 3.5, for it to actually look decent. Okay, so that took 8 minutes and 35 seconds. And so, let's see what it looks like. Let's pick number 8. It's taking a long time to open this image. And Yeah, that's more like it. This is, yeah, I was having a hard time getting it to look like this before. This might be a good number to make a note of, actually, because I like this one. Let's see where that number is. Yeah, so there you go. So it's 13336804196588127080. That's a good number to remember, because this is what I was trying to get it to look like with the big planet. And of course, the only problem is the planet is in front of this mountain. Yeah, but you know, you can forgive them that one. Just say the planet is floating. Yeah. Apart from that, actually, this is a good one, because I've had other ones I've tried, and it just hasn't looked as nice. But I do like the look of this one, where you got the sun in the foreground and that. So yeah, I think this is a worthy one to keep. And so now what I'm going to do is skip to the actual download part. So as you can see, we've got 58 megabytes worth of PNGs sitting in Kaggle working, and then so there's 3 of them there. So if I click on this little stop session, these 3 will disappear, and that's it, they're gone, never to be found again. So now to get that out, what we do is go down to the section which I've fixed, so that now it will actually download, because before I had to, it's because I was missing this little percentage thing. That's all the problem was, really, why it wasn't working before. The percentage and these little I had the exclamation marks, but it's the percentage that was the problem. So now if I'm going to tar up these pictures that are created. Okay, so it's tarred them up. And so if you go here, so now it's 58 megabytes now, and if you refresh, got this little tar file. Now of course I could go here to the dots and download, but I found that doesn't work. Let me just check. So I'll try again. Yeah, see nothing. So the way that I've worked out to actually do it is that to use this import file link, and it actually worked. Okay, so it works now. It never used to work before. But let me show you how to do it. Yeah, it's working now, but let me show you how to do it. Do it this more reliable way, because it seems like sometimes the maybe it's a browser, I don't know, browser cache. So sometimes this download, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And so now I don't want to repeat that too many more times. So if I run this, it generates this file link here, which is the pix.tar. So if I click on that, see, now this appeared straight away, you notice. So, but the one when I clicked on the Kaggle, notice it took a bit of time to appear. So I think it's dodgy whether it works or not. Alright, so that's pix5. So that's it. So it's downloaded. So now let's see if we can find those pictures. Okay, so now if I go to alright, so I'm just going to extract the files. So there they are. So those are 3. So then all I'll do is run let's see, run this funny program called gqueen. Okay, that's not going to work. So let's try my old friend. Okay, so the ones we're after is Flux 2, 7, and 8. Is that it? 2? Yeah, 2, 7, and 8. And so this is like an old, because you notice how it looks really messed up. But if I zoom out, this is one of the old pictures I did of, see, this was of this landscape, which actually looked quite nice. But you see the resolution, you notice it's very low, because it had a very low number of passes, and that's why it looks so horrible. But the picture itself looks really nice if I could have done a high resolution version. of it. So let's go to Flux 278. So let's go to Flux 2. Right, so this is that icy thing. So let's make this a bit bigger. Now we're going to try and use this 4K. As you can see, the resolution of this is 5120 by 2880. So that's yeah, it's just over 4K. Well, it's a decent amount over 4K. And the thing is, if you don't know about those little lines that you can see, you'd say this is a pretty decent picture, because the composition is nice. That's the thing. So what I need to do is to work on how to get rid of those lines, what I need to change. The little drawing lines that you can see. And so it's 2, 7 and 8. So 7, this was that golf course, and the reason why it's drawing so slow is because just because of my drivers for my graphics card, they're actually I think they might be slightly old. Well, I don't think the system I'm running is new enough for the graphics card, because it shouldn't really be this slow, but you know, I just get used to it for now. Yeah, so as you can see, I mean, it's pretty good. You know, if someone doesn't know about the little AI drawing lines to look for, they'd say, look, that would look like quite a nice picture. And notice the resolution again, 5120 by 2880. So if you're looking for a 4K picture that you want to have as a background, and you just want to stick it up, you know, just for something for someone to look at, you can do all right. Now remember, if you want to add more, this is one of the good things about Flux Dev, is that if you ask for more details, it will give them to you. So I could have asked for flowers and things and this and that, and it could, you know, it would have appeared. So that's that one. So then 8 is the last one, which is the Explorer. And you see how it's fast at the beginning because, like I say, it's just some anomaly. I don't know. But when you look at this, you know, you can see some of the drawing lines there. But I still like the look of that planet. That looks nice, as long as you ignore the fact that it's in front of these mountains. Because I think that obviously the planet should be further over here, behind the clouds. But you know, I think you could probably have changed the prompt to make sure it put the planet behind the mountains and the clouds. But of course, because it's in front of the clouds, it does look a bit odd. But still, I like the Explorer. You know, he's got some good threads on. The little backpack looks alright. Or the big backpack. And, you know, the way he's looking down into that deep valley. And then, you know, so what I'm really showing is that these are examples of what you can do using a free account on Kaggle. This is the whole point of what I'm showing you. And you could sit here all day eating up your, yeah, because I just have to explain that. So if you go here, and see my session is 58 minutes, and so I've been using the GPU for that long. And if you go to the session metrics, so I've been using 58 minutes, and the session that I can run, the longest I can run this session for is 12 hours. And the disk space I've got is maximum is 57.6 gigs. And CPU, the memory I could use with it, maximum is 29 gigs. I'm only using 11.6 of it. And of course, GPU, you have to get a model to make sure that that model could fit in the memory of the GPU. So I'm using 15 out of 16, so that's like pretty good usage of it. And then the other thing is that the one weird thing about this Kaggle is that it won't show you Yes, what I've got to do is go to another one. So if I go to this one, Flux Gym, then notice here's my little duck, or is it a goose? I think it's a geese. So if I click on that, it'll tell me down here that I have 29 hours and 3 minutes available of 30 hours. So I've still got 29 hours worth of GPU that I can use. This is per week, which is not bad. So I've only used an hour so far to produce these images. So you can get quite a decent amount done using Kaggle. And I'm doing images here, but I'm going to try and do a video showing you how to do audio as well, if I can get it to work. And maybe even some Flux Gym training. So hopefully I'll be able to get those videos lined up once I've tested them to see that their notebooks are working. And of course the notebooks will be available, because I'm not one of these sort of pigs that wants to feed off people, because I already work for people anyway and I get paid. So I don't need to feed off people on the internet. So I don't mind giving out, these particular notebooks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this, and now we've got the images, we can stop this session so that it doesn't use up more of my quota. But here's the other thing. On Kaggle, the quotas last per not per week since first use, it's per Sunday to Saturday, or day 1 to day 7 every week. So this 29 hours I've got left actually runs out, I think, on sometime on Saturday night, and then on Sunday it'll be back to 30 hours again. So because I did this on Thursday, obviously I can use this for quite a lot before it runs out. But if I started this on Monday, then I'd have to, control how much I'm using it, so that it doesn't, sort of use up my quota too quickly. But the important thing is it resets every week, so you can get quite a decent amount of usage out of this GPU. And the last thing I was going to say is that the GPU is a P100. And what you have to realize is that these P100s, they're from 2018. And I think what's happened is that rather than Google put all these 2018 P100s in the skip, or to put them in some landfill in India, or where else do they put them? Probably Africa or South America. They actually put these old P100s into a data center and use them so that people can, put them up there so people can use them to train, so that they then will run into the limit of memory and then be willing to pay more money to use the GPUs with more memory that Google are obviously selling now. So that really is the aim of this, and so people should just use it, while it's still here.